Okay. Tuition and affordability. We think that a lot of people understand, that college tuition, it's pricey. It is, no matter where you go. And it is an expense that you're going to have to think about, especially in this uncertain environment. So what we have here is a slide that talks about, the University of Maryland system, the general pricing for that. So there's different ways that you can look at it. If you want to have that residential 4-year college experience and you're going to a University of System school, in general, if it's going to be residential, it's going to be around $24,000 a year. So if you're going to go live on campus at one of the public schools in Maryland, in general, about $24,000 a year. If you're going to commute to campus, meaning just like you would to Carroll, if you're going to drive back and forth to your classes, around $11,000 a year. It varies a little bit between all of the public schools, but in general, that's what you can expect to pay. Stevenson would be another example. Stevenson is a private school in the state of Maryland, but a very popular option for many students. So you can see the residential, if you're going to live on campus, cost is going to be over $50,000. And if you're commuting, driving back and forth, it's going to be around $28,000. So I want you to realize that this is the price tag before there's any kind of financial aid, any kind of tuition, grants, any kind of scholarship. So this is the price that you would pay before you have any of those things applied. But when you look at your financial aid package, when you do see what your tuition amount after all those things are applied are going to be, we realize that sometimes it seems a little bit out of reach and maybe not totally as doable as you might have thought it was for 4 years. So if we move on to Carroll, tuition cost is lower. It is lower because it's being supplemented through the county, the state, and tuition, of course. So if you look at the cost breakdown for Carroll Community College, for 30 credits is what we want you to accomplish in 1 year. So if you're a full-time student and you want to complete your AA degree in 2 years, you have to take approximately 30 credits a year. If you're a full-time student for 1 semester, you're going to take about 15 credits a semester. So rather than paying tuition up front for the entire year, you're paying for the amount of credits that you're actually taking, however you end up taking them. But to give the comparison, if you're taking 30 credits, which would be equal to 1 year of commuter tuition, our tuition cost for in-county residents is going to be just over $5,000. Now, that doesn't include the cost of books and supplies, but it includes the cost of tuition, all the support services that you would need, getting involved in anything on campus. So it's just over $5,000. If you're an out-of-county resident, we have many out-of-county residents that prefer to come to Carroll because of the commute, just because of reputation, they like us. So the 30 credits for the out-of-county rate is just over $8,000 for the year. And for our PA residents and any residents that are out of state that like to come and see us and come and take classes with us, it's just over $11,000 a year. So just know that there is a tuition difference depending on if you're in county, out of county, or out of state, but everyone is welcome to take classes with us. If you're taking just one class as an in-county resident, so you're duly enrolled, a visiting student, it's $516 for a 3-credit class. And many of the lab sciences are a little more, they're about $688 because they're 4-credit classes. So we know that this can still be a very large expense for students. We will talk about financial aid, loans, the College Promise Scholarship a little bit later in the presentation. But the biggest thing that I can tell you right now, and the thing that I want you to really remember is if you register early, so registration is ongoing until classes begin for our full fall semester, which begins on August 31st. So registration is ongoing until then, but many people have restricted schedules and they have course formats that they really want to, make sure that they get. So the sooner that you register for classes, the more likely you are to get the schedule that you want at the times and days that you need, the format that you want, and you can register and then you can sign up for the payment plan, which can break up your payment into monthly tuition installments, interest-free. There's no interest for that. There is a nominal registration fee to set up the payment plan, but then you get to break your tuition into monthly installments, which doesn't reduce the cost of tuition, but it does make it much more manageable for many families, so you don't have to pay it in all one lump sum. So just realize that the sooner that you register, the better off you'll be. You can set up the payment plan to spread out the payments to make it a little bit more manageable. Classes start on August 31st. The closer we get to classes beginning, there will be classes for you to register for, but it will be more difficult to get the exact time frames that you want. It'll be harder to get the formats that you want. You can always make adjustments to your schedule after you have registered initially. And this is the other thing, is this is where we want you to consider the cost savings. So like I was talking about on the last slide, when you get that final tuition bill for a four-year school and you realize, wow, this is going to be really, you know, we might be taking on some debt that we weren't thinking that we were going to be able to do. It might be a little bit more than we were thinking. So many students start at Carroll. They pay that reduced tuition rate for the first 2 years. And by paying that reduced tuition rate for the first 2 years, suddenly it becomes more affordable to go and live on campus for just 2 years at the higher tuition rate. So if you're paying the lesser rate for 2 years, then that higher cost can be more manageable for the last 2 years. So just keep those things in mind.